Hello? Thank you, and happy Monday. So, for anyone watching, y'all know we have Huddle because we want people to be engaged in what goes on in our world, especially to inform the youth because they are our future. Huddle to us means this is where we help and unite dreamers to develop, lead, and empower. So if you didn't know what huddle means, I'll say it again. Huddle means to help and unite dreamers to develop, lead, and empower. So that's what we do here at Huddle, and we are happy that you guys are participating. So y'all know we always like to start with an opening prayer and scripture so we could pray ourselves into the sanctuary. So I would like everybody to bow their heads for prayer, please. Thank you. Father God, we gather here today under your care and protection. Thank you for your loving and kindness that never fails us. We thank you for those that are with us, that you will guide our thoughts and actions to bring you glory. Strengthen us and fill us with your peace. Amen. So I will be reading a scripture from Isaiah 40, verses 26 to 31. Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls forth each of them by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. 27. Why do you complain, Jacob? Why do you say, Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord. My cause is disregarded by my God. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So with that being said, I would like to bring up our very own Huddle founder and director, Ms. Ashley Sharpton, for our announcements and action alerts.
Thank you, Giselle. Happy Huddle Monday, everyone. All right, so I'm going to start off reading the action alerts. Bless you. Written by our own Nita Khan. All right. Who's familiar with the Fearless Fund? You can raise your hand. Nobody here? The Fearless Fund? Nobody here knows about the Fearless Fund? They've just been with us for the last, 2 months. That's a problem. That's what I was saying in the back. Accountability. The fact that y'all come here every week and we've been talking about the Fearless Fund in the fight, Reverend Sharpton at the rally, and you don't know who that is, that means that you're not actively listening, that you're not engaging. And we must be actively listening and engaging because we need you to be in that fight for the Fearless Fund because that will impact all of us. All right. This past Tuesday, Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network were in Atlanta to stand in solidarity with the Fearless Fund. Everyone say Fearless Fund. All right, a Black-owned organization which financially supports Black and brown female entrepreneurs. What's an entrepreneur, Gino? That's right. Good job. Say it louder. Clap him up. He said business owner. Somebody starting a business. Good job. Okay, so they financially support Black and brown female entrepreneurs. They are currently facing a lawsuit from conservative activist Edward Bloom's Texas-based group designed to disrupt their work and stifle any semblance of progress. Giselle, what does stifle mean? Dan, can you help her out? What does stifle mean? Say it louder, because you're correct. Say it louder, please. To block, so to block or to bring down, a stifle. All right, got it? Got it, G? All right. Hope y'all got it too online. I hear us, we're loud. What these two women have stood and done is something that is representative of the will and desire of all of us, said Reverend Sharpton. We're not trying to discriminate, we're trying to correct historic discrimination. Reverend Sharpton and others accompanied the Fearless Fund founders, Arian Simone and Ayanna Parsons. They also spoke at the March on Washington, for those who attended, to court where they won the first round when the judge denied a preliminary injunction and refused to block the fund's grant for minority women. That was a victory. That was round one. They blocked the injunction. The Fearless Fund has invested nearly $27 million in about 40 businesses led by women of color, employing around 540 people. So basically, over the weekend, that was appealed. So Bloom and the conservative activists against affirmative action have a win now, and they have blocked successfully the Fearless Fund from basically spending their money or helping anybody with grants. So people cannot apply to grants if they have not, if they don't already have them with the Fearless Fund. So this week, we will be announcing efforts. Reverend Sharpton and our leadership in Atlanta, shout out to Ron Saylor and Damon Byam, who did an excellent job on the ground. Myself, JT, and a few others were able to attend and support. Shout out to Felipe Dosa, who brought out Nan Morehouse, Nan Clark Atlanta, and Nan Spellman representatives to stand with us at that federal court building. We will be back in Atlanta. We will be in Jacksonville because Edward Bloom has an office there. So we're going to need your support. I'm not going to share everything online because I know y'all are watching the ops. But at the end of the day, we're going to make sure that make sure you stay alert as far as your emails, as far as your numbers, because we're going to be doing massive action in regards to the Fearless Fund. There also was announced this week that we have the Triumph Awards coming up, which is the 16th. Who has already signed up for the Triumph Awards? All right, so only you right here is active here at the National Action Network. What is happening? All right, oh, good, okay, so Giselle too. So good. So the Triumph Awards, there's the sign-up sheet in the front. You can also go online to nationalactionnetwork.net. Register for free. You can get a free seat at the Jazz at Lincoln Center Annual Triumph Awards that National Action Network produces. It highlights those in the arts and entertainment fields who basically do good work, push for our culture. Hello, Christian. Christian's in the building, one of our leaders, and local leaders, of course, in the community. October 16th. It is free to the community, Jazz at Lincoln Center. You can sign up at the front desk. You can sign up online at nationalactionnetwork.net. Just look for the Triumph Awards flyer or save the date, and it's right there. And it's free. Again, free for all. All ages are welcomed. We all dressed up. It's a great time to honor those in our community who do good things for us in the arts. Dominique can read the lineup for you. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. Congratulations to Reverend Sharpton, who was honored this week with the March On Lifetime Achievement Award. Let's clap him up. At the 2023 March on Washington Film Festival. The yearly festival finds, encourages, and brings to life stories of both icons and foot soldiers from the civil rights movement. Reverend Sharpton received the Lifetime Acknowledgement at the awards gala on Wednesday evening, which was hosted by MSNBC's Jonathan Capehart. He was honored for his visionary leadership and continued fight for civil rights. He received the award alongside Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock, and I was honored to accept the award. That was weird because I've never had to stand in my dad's shoes and accept anything. So that was a good, thank you, Dad, for that, for allowing me to do that. Thank you. Politics Nation continue to win. So this is a win for all of us because all of us tune in. When does Politics Nation come? Let's make sure y'all tune in. When does Politics Nation come on? No, you can't answer because you can't answer. Not her. No second row. You either. Gino. Saturday and Sunday. All right. What time? What time? 5 o'clock. All right. See, Dad, they're watching. Okay. Reverend Sharpton's MSNBC show, Politics Nation, once again has the highest concentration of black viewers. Let's clap that up. 42% of any program on cable news. So even if y'all are not watching, other people are watching. As the town square for Black America for more than a decade, Politics Nation has continued on its winning streak for boasting the highest concentration of black viewership. Through the years, Reverend Sharpton has welcomed guests as diverse as presidents and congressional representatives to police brutality victims and activists. Politics Nation remains a fixture in cable news, as well as the community. The broadcast airs Saturdays and Sundays and on MSNBC at 5 p.m. Eastern. Does anybody know what tomorrow is? It's somebody's birth anniversary. Anybody know? All right, say two. Tomorrow is Reverend Al Sharpton. He is our Black History Fact of the Day. Dominique will share that full information on why he is a living legend. If you are not sure why you are sitting here at the National Action Network, some of you might just be here by way of a friend. But if you don't know who is in charge, you will learn who is our leader and what we practice in the way of, what we were taught. We are practicing the tradition, the nonviolent tradition of Dr. King, and that came from the teachings of Jesse Jackson, who was Reverend Sharpton's direct mentor. So that is the lineage in which we follow, and you will hear more about that a little later. Does anybody know what today is? I'm almost out of your way. So today is the International Day of Nonviolence. Anybody know what that is? The International Day of Nonviolence. Mommy said she had no idea what that is. All right, momses. The International Day of Nonviolence commemorates Mahatma Gandhi's principles. Anybody know who Gandhi is? Yes. There we go. All right, I'm in the right place. The International Day of Nonviolence, observed on October 2nd, commemorates Mahatma Gandhi's principles of peace and advocates for global harmony through nonviolent means. It's short, sorry, almost done. The International Day of Nonviolence observed on October 2nd every year is dedicated to honoring Gandhian principles. The day is observed on the birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi and reflects upon his philosophy and commitment to nonviolence as a means of social and political change. Why that's important is I just talked about the legacy and how we are in the tradition of nonviolence, of Dr. King's nonviolence, right? That is direct relation to Mahatma Gandhi. So it's all lineage, it's all history that we should all know and understand what we're studying. All right? So today is the International Day of Nonviolence, and as in the tradition of King, we should all know what that means. Last but not least, does anybody know who Claudine Gay is? One more time, Claudine Gay, Treese? She's the first Black president of Harvard. All right, somebody reads the news. So Claudine Gay she became the first Black president of Harvard University. Harvard University inaugurated Claudine, that's right, clap that up, that's right, Giselle. They inaugurated Claudine Gay on this past Friday, September 29th, as the 30th president of the Ivy League school, making her the first Black person and second woman to lead the prestigious university. That's a big feat. Harvard University is always still top tier, top school in the country, and that's a big feat for Claudine Gay to be the first gay woman and first Black person and the second woman to lead the prestigious university. So I want to salute to you. She's walking a living legend. All right, let's go. I'm done.
Thank you, Ashley. So now, our co-founder and NAN Membership National Director, Ms. Dominique Sharpton, is about to come up here and tell you what Ashley was talking about our legend. Clap it up for her, y'all.
It's interesting because every time, you feel like, yeah, this is my dad, but every time I look at a bio or something on him, somebody who really depicts moments in his life, I always learn something. So I want to, of course, expand the knowledge of our fearless leader, Reverend Al Sharpton, who is celebrating his 69th birthday on tomorrow, October the 3rd. And I want to make sure that our young people know a little bit more about who the Reverend Al Sharpton really is. So he was ordained in the Pentecostal church as a child. Reverend Sharpton, he is an outspoken and sometimes controversial political activist in the fight against racial prejudice and injustice. In 1971, he established the National Youth Movement. So he ain't new to this. He is true to this. His many critics and supporters have watched him run for political office, Senate, Mayor of New York, and also as a candidate of president for the United States. How many people knew that? His dramatic style brings popular and media attention to his causes, and he has hosted his own show on MSNBC, Politics Nation, since the year 2011. He was born, get this, Alfred Charles Sharpton Jr. Al is not Al. His name is Alfred. And he was born Alfred Charles Sharpton Jr. on October 3rd, 1954 in, guess what? Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York. He has become a leading figure in the fight against racial justice and prejudice. He developed his commanding speaking style as a child. A frequent churchgoer, Reverend Sharpton became an ordained minister in the Pentecostal church at the age of 10 years old. He was ordained as a minister at 10 years old. He often traveled to deliver sermons and once toured with Mahalia Jackson, the famed gospel singer. He attended public schools in Queens and Brooklyn. In the late 1960s, he became active in the civil rights movement, joining the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. That is a program, SCLC, which was founded by, guess who? Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. SCLC had a program called Operation Breadbasket, which sought to encourage diversity in the workplace by applying social and economic pressure on businesses. In 1969, Reverend Sharpton, who was then a high school student, became the youth director for this program. He later participated in protests against the A&P supermarket chain. How many of y'all remember A&P? Reverend Sharpton was protesting A&P supermarkets in the early 1970s as head of Operation Breadbasket. In 1972, he graduated from then Samuel J. Tilden High School in Brooklyn, New York. He spent 2 years at Brooklyn College as a contemporary politics major before dropping out. Reverend Sharpton is a college dropout, y'all, and look where he is today. Come on, somebody. But during this time, that's right, y'all can clap it up. Y'all can clap it up. During this time, Reverend Sharpton remained still politically active and eventually established his own organization that branched away from the Operation Breadbasket, and it was called the National Youth Movement. All right, so that's 2 organizations we heard Reverend Sharpton was a part of now, and he ain't even 20 years old. All right? Y'all paying attention? All right, here we go. Now, let's get to some more interesting facts. I'm sorry, okay. During the 1980s, Reverend Sharpton got involved in many high-profile cases in New York City that affected the African-American community and led several protests against what he believed were injustices and incidents of racial discrimination. He helped keep media scrutiny on the racially based murder of a black teenager named Michael Griffin in 1986. The following year, Reverend Sharpton became embroiled in the Tawana Brawley case, a case that would haunt him for many years. Tawana Brawley was an African-American teenager who claimed that she was raped by a group of white men, some of whom were allegedly police officers. The case was later dismissed by a grand jury, which reportedly concluded that the teenager had made the story up. All right? But this came months after media frenzy around the case that was largely encouraged by Reverend Sharpton. He was even sued by the district attorney working the case for making slanderous remarks and was found guilty and fined for his comments. His reputation was damaged, and he faced more charges in 1990. He was tried and acquitted of stealing from the National Youth Movement. But listen, no matter what problems he encountered, let me go back again, because some of y'all gonna miss that. He was tried and acquitted, which means he didn't do it, okay, of stealing money from National Youth Movement. But no matter what problems he encountered, he remained dedicated to his activism, arranging protests, and giving press conferences. During one such protest in Brooklyn's Bensonhurst neighborhood in 1991, a man stabbed Reverend Sharpton in the chest. Rushed to the hospital, he had surgery to repair the damage, but has made a full recovery. He still has a scar over his chest that reminds him every day of the sacrifice he's made to the civil rights movement. We can clap that up. Reverend Sharpton has run for public office throughout the 1990s. He has run for New York State Assembly in 1978. He also ran for mayor of New York in 1997, and in 2004, he attracted national attention by throwing his hat into the ring to become the Democrat Party's presidential candidate in 2004. Y'all can clap it up for that. Reverend Sharpton continues to share his views even today and to tackle today's issues through his television and radio programs. He has been the host of Politics Nation since 2011 on MSNBC, and he is also the host of his own syndicated radio program, Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. That's been on the air for over 20 years. That's Reverend Al, y'all. Give it up for the Reverend Al. And whether it's standing up for victims who have been wrongly accused or who have lost their lives to injustice, such as Trayvon Martin or George Floyd or Eric Gardner, Reverend Sharpton has remained steadfast and really committed to fighting for justice and equality for all who deserve. His personal life, y'all know he has 2 daughters, Dominique and Ashley. I'm one, there's the other over there, and his grandson, Marcus Al. He's also lost a tremendous amount of weight. A lot of people are, they be chit-chatting, but he was once 305 pounds. Reverend Sharpton is currently at 129 pounds. How did he lose all that weight? He went through an over 4-year weight loss journey, okay? Losing 176 pounds up until October 2014. A lot of people really don't understand his journey mentally, physically, but also mentally to get him, to actually transform his body like that. He shed the pounds, it says, surgery-free, which I can attest to that. But he attributes his success to a strict discipline of eating less, eating healthy, and exercising regularly. You can see Reverend Sharpton on his workout plan as he has his Instagram, over 2 million followers, and he's talking to y'all every morning after his wake-up. After his workout. Giselle said 4 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, Rev is an early riser. Yes, and he does take his weight loss and his physical discipline very, very, very seriously. So those are some unknown facts. Hopefully most of them were known, but some of them could have been unknown. But those are some quick facts on the Reverend Al, and we certainly wish him a happy 69th birthday on tomorrow, October 3rd, and thank him for all of the work that he continues to do.
Thank you, Dom. And if you would like to know more, he has a movie out. It's called Loudmouth. So if you haven't watched it, please watch it. It talks about all the cases, the stabbing, everything. So stay in tune for that. So I would like to bring our young huddler up to talk about our membership and text alerts. Clap it up for Gino, y'all.
Hi, everyone. Is everybody an updated member for the year 2023? Have you renewed your membership? If not, this applies to you as well as those who are not members. The best way to stay informed in the action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed about NAN events close to where you live. Text Justice, followed by your state, to 59769. And then join this Saturday Action Rally at 9 in the morning.
Y'all heard him. Make sure y'all join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. So now I would like to open the floor up to any good news. Any good news? We got good news?
I'm a senior now in middle school. It's getting a little harder, but a little easier, I guess, the work. And yeah.
Congratulations to Gino. I'm bringing you good news I found on Instagram. Don't hate, congratulate. The Royalty Project, they're offering a youth mentor cultural enrichment program. The kickoff is October the 14th this year. The age group is 10 years to 14 years old. The application deadline is October the 6th. I may have heard Dominique previously mention this, so this is an echo. I hope y'all youth go out and engage with that particular Royalty Project because it seems as though it's a very enriching program. Their meetings are virtual via Zoom on Saturdays for approximately, if not exactly, 8 weeks. So that's one piece of my good news. The next is the United Justice Coalition is hosting their year 2023 UJC Summit, scheduled to occur December 1st. It's a summit, it's a social justice convention, and tickets are available to the public for free. So for those two Instagrams you can look at, they are at TheRoyaltyProject. That's at the Royalty Project. The other is at UNITEDJUSTICECOALITION, as in at United Justice Coalition. And that's my good news.
Thank you, Dan. So if y'all did not remember that, y'all could go see Dan. He will be in the front if y'all have any questions. My lady.
Hello, Huddle. My good news is Reverend Kennedy is doing well in a nursing home. Me, Apostle, and Megan, we have been up there, warriors, praying for her, and really we've been we've been really looking out for her. It's been really good. You want to say some things, Apostle?
Hi, everyone. Rev is kicking. Me, Chaplain Jade, and Megan, we've been there since September the 8th till now. It's been scary. I'm just going to let you know. She coded on the 10th. 4 days she was in a coma. We prayed, and Jade, she did great. I mean, really, because it's not easy when you're caring for somebody that age. Um, it was rough, tubes, everything, and now she's in nursing rehabilitation. She's up talking. The fun thing about it is she's kicking, she's talking, bossing us around, and the good thing is she's and our amen goes right there. So we're excited. Um, I'm very emotional, so but we're glad that she's still with us. Um, she just turned 85, but the phases that she went through to actually see it personally up hand, it was scary. But for Jay to go through it, we was there because I wasn't going to be there. I was like, you know what, I'm done. But one thing is to be there for someone, but then it's an assignment. So for Jade to go through this and then come out like she is happy, um, I'm excited. But Rev is here. She's kicking. So hopefully and preferably she'll be back here at Nan, sitting, saying amen goes right there. So we're asking that you guys continue to lift her up, send good vibes, and supports and prayers. We want her to be back here, running around, doing what she's doing with her tambourine. So
Thank you. Thank you. Like they said, please keep Reverend Kennedy in your prayers. You know we got her back always as a Nan family. Good news?
Well, I have some announcements. So many of y'all know National Action Network has been offered, NAN Youth Huddle, actually the holding committee or department that these tickets have been issued to. But we've been granted free tickets to attend the Universal Circus. It's coming back to New York City this year, starting on, it started actually on yesterday in Roy Wilkins Park, and we have tickets throughout the week. Yesterday was the first day, and then Thursday, we have tickets to go Thursday, or this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. We also have tickets to go to the Bronx location in Orchid Beach, and that's starting on Friday, October 13th. You got Friday, Saturday the 14th, and Sunday the 15th. Also Wednesday, after the Triumph Awards is Monday the 16th, Wednesday the 18th, we have tickets, Thursday the 19th, Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd. If you are interested, we are not providing transportation to go, but we will provide you with some free tickets if you and your families want to attend. Please see us, one of us at the staff table, or those of you who are watching via live stream, you can call the House of Justice during regular business hours throughout the week, 877-626-4651, and get more information as to how you can retrieve your free tickets to go to the Universal Circus. But we want to thank Mr. Johnson and those who work the Universal Circus for always extending National Action Network and the community free tickets to attend the Universal Circus. We know that Reverend Sharpton was very diligent in making sure that we had the Universal Circus in New York City. So we want to make sure that we attend and we represent, and we don't have to pay. So it's free 99. So let's take advantage of this experience that's offered to us. And again, if you need more information, you can see us or call the House of Justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom. So make sure y'all sign yourself up for them. I know I am, for them free tickets. So any more good news or we're done? Okay. So we're going to get into our Did You Knows, because you may not have known. So first, yours truly, I will be doing my article, There will be no questions for my article, so I will be giving y'all some information. My article is about LaFonza Butler will be the first Black openly LGBTQ plus woman in the Senate or House. So please clap that up. That's amazing. LaFonza Butler, who California Governor Gavin Newsom appointed Sunday to finish out the late Dianne Feinstein Senate term, will make history when she's sworn in. She will be the first Black openly LGBTQ plus woman to serve in either chamber of Congress. Today, she shatters a rainbow ceiling and becoming the first out Black LGBTQ plus U.S. Senator, and she will serve knowing her presence and impact will be felt in countless ways. Anise Parker, the president and CEO of LGBTQ plus Victory Institute, said in a statement on Monday, LaFonza is a champion for building a more inclusive and representative government and will certainly be a champion for women, people of color, and LGBTQ plus people, said Parker, a former mayor of Houston. The U.S. Senate is our most prestigious legislative body, but also one where change is slow. LaFonza's appointment today is an exception to that rule, being a big step forward in our push for a more representative government. It is only right that a Black woman who has paved the way for countless others to lead is now given an opportunity to lead herself, said NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson. The NAACP commends Governor Newsom for taking steps to fill the gaps in representation that currently exists within our Senate. One thing is clear, Black women are supreme. Clap that up. You are. Butler, who's 44, is currently the president of Emily's List, a political action committee that backs Democratic female candidates who support abortion rights. She is a former longtime senior advisor to now Vice President Kamala Harris, and for more than a decade, she was the president of SEIU Local 2015, the largest labor union in California. Her background and years of experience will bring a much-needed perspective to the Senate, which currently does not have any Black women, said Representative Stephen Horsford, chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus. As the first lesbian Black woman in the U.S. Senate, LaFonza will bring an important perspective to the upper house at a time when the rights of women in the LGBTQ plus community are under attack. Emily's List President LaFonza Butler addressed a Biden-Harris campaign rally on the first anniversary of the Supreme Court's Dobbs versus Jackson decision, June 23, 2023, in Washington, D.C. Harris is reportedly expected to swear Butler into the Senate on Wednesday. Newsom had promised earlier to fill any Senate vacancy with a Black woman, but his decision to appoint Butler is particularly exciting for LGBTQ plus right groups. 2, she will be the first LGBTQ plus person to represent California in the Senate and the third openly LGBTQ plus senator in U.S. history. The other two are Senators Tammy Baldwin and Kristen Sinema. Lisa Turner, the executive director of LPAC, a national organization dedicated to electing LGBTQ women and non-binary people to public office, hailed Butler both as a historic pick and as someone with a rich background. As a leader in the labor movement, Butler has been an ally and advocate for working people in California, Turner said in a Monday statement. More recently, she has been a champion for electing pro-choice women across the country. We look forward to seeing her good work for California and the nation. Feinstein, who held the Senate seat for more than 20 years, died Friday at the age of 90. Newsom had to move fast to appoint someone to finish out her term, which ends in January 2025. Given the razor-thin majority that Democrats hold in the Senate, without Feinstein, Democrats hold a 50-49 edge, which includes 3 independents who caucus with Democrats. So that concludes my Did You Know? Once again, please clap it up for Miss LaFonza Butler. That is amazing. And I hope you guys learned something from that. That's amazing. So I would like to call next our Huddle founder and director, once again, up to the stand for our second Did You Know article. Please clap it up for her.
Thank you. I won't be before you long, and I don't have a question, but if you have a statement, we can briefly take it. But it's basically an update, so it's an informational article. After a 3-year, anybody in here have student loan debt? Anybody? Okay, all right, all right. For those who can't see, that's maybe like, I think 7 people raised their hands? Yeah, well, yeah, like 7, yep. That's enough. After a 3-year pause in payments due to the economic hardships brought on by the coronavirus pandemic, student loan payments were reinstituted on Sunday, October 1st. Despite pushback from borrowers and student loan advocates, we went outside, right, Giselle? We went to the Supreme Court and fought against that. More than 28 million borrowers will have their payments reactivated. So we are losing in our fight right now. It's a sad day for student loan borrowers and for the country that student loans have to come back on, especially with the threat of a looming government shutdown. Potentially on the same day. It's just wild, said Natalia Abrams, president and founder of the Student Debt Crisis Center. In protest of student loan payments being resumed, some borrowers are going on a student debt strike by refusing to make payments as a way to show their discontent with the system. Anybody participating in that? All right. Nobody raised their hand for those who's watching. Jacob Channel, that might change though. Jacob Channel, a senior economist, and student loan repayment expert at Lending Tree, noted that missing payments could have been negative ramifications, including interest continuing to accrue. There could be situations here potentially because you're not making your payments. The value of your loan is increasing because it's collecting interest, so you will owe more money. The credit bureau takes that into account, and maybe your credit score gets dinged a little bit. As one of the pledges that was made during the 2020 campaign, the Biden administration announced the Saving on Valuable Education plan to aid borrowers with their repayments. Felipe Dosa, the National Youth and College Director of NAN, talked about this in his speech at the March on Washington. Payments are determined based on income and family size. Borrowers with an annual income of $32,805 for single households or $67,500 for a family of 4 could qualify for 0 payments. The SAVE plan is a lifeline if you're able to get on a $0 payment plan, and we have worked with some borrowers, especially older borrowers on Social Security, to get on that plan. Also, the administration released an on-ramp repayment plan that allows borrowers to miss their monthly payments, for the next year with fewer consequences than before. And the Department of Education will not put borrowers in delinquent status if they miss payments, garnish their wages, or send them to debt collectors. Initially, President Biden attempted to forgive student loans for all 45 million borrowers for at least $10,000, but his plan was struck down by the Supreme Court in June. Republicans who are in favor of resuming student loan payments argue that the Biden administration would have left borrowers in an even worse financial position with delays and unfilled promises. This conversation distracts us from the core problem, which is making student loan money too easy, which causes tuition to rise and does not address what's needed, which is that colleges need tough love to end their addiction to tuition. Adam Kissel, a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation Center for Education Policy, said, to address the student loan crisis, the Department of Education announced the rollout of a plan through the Higher Education Act. So we will be having a live with our National Youth and College Department to talk about basically the fold-out we're doing, a fold-out with NAACP in regards to this. So basically look out for that live to participate in action steps of what we're going to do in regards to the student loan debt plan. Because we've been fighting for it, but there's been no progress. Does anybody have statements, commentary? Or we can move along. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. So for our third Did You Know, I would like to present our leader of Artivism for his article. Please clap up Dan. Please, thank you.
Thank you. The Did You Know article I'm reading this evening is titled State Run. Land grant HBCUs are owed more than $13 billion, the White House says. And I'm going to summarize a little bit. So the article goes on to read, land grant, historically black colleges and universities have missed out on more than $13 billion they should have gotten in the last 3 decades or so, according to the letters the Biden administration sent to the governors of 16 states, appealing to them to invest more money in HBCUs. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona and Agricultural Secretary Thomas Vlasic sent letters to the governors of Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. Cardona and Vlasic cited data from the National Center for Education Statistics and found that the gap in funding, quote, could have supported infrastructure and student services and would have better positioned the university to compete for research grants, end quote, and that the HBCUs, quote, would be much stronger and better positioned to serve its students, your state, and the nation if made whole with respect to this funding gap, end quote. The schools mentioned in the letters were established under the Morrill Act. The Morrill Act of 1860, this year 1860, I believe, gave states 30,000 acres to establish public colleges and universities, such as Auburn University, University of Georgia, University of Kentucky, and more. But because of the discrimination and exclusion black students faced at those schools, the second Morrill Act was passed in year 1890, mandating that states either consider black students equally or found separate land grants, schools for them, some of which included Alabama A&M, University of Arkansas, and the list goes on. So, with that being the article that I'm reading, summarized, I'd like to know whom from the audience, if anyone has an opinion regarding this particular section at the bottom of the reading that says, HBCUs have been underfunded for decades. A history of higher education tells us why. In Florida, Louisiana, Tennessee, Texas, and North Carolina, the gap between majority black and majority white land grant institutions, including the University of Florida, Louisiana State University, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Texas, A&M University, and North Carolina State University, range from about $1 to $2 billion. No, pardon me, $1 billion to $2 billion. Does anyone from the audience have an opinion or a vested interest to explain why they feel that that gap exists, that $1 to $2 billion gap regarding land grants? And I'm going to define land grants, according to Wikipedia, to mean a gift of real estate or its use privileges made by government of other authorities as an incentive. Three known types of land grants are private grants, community grants, and hybrid or quasi-community grants. So does anyone from the audience want to speak about what their opinion is regarding that $1 billion to $2 billion gap between majority white land grant institutions and not majority white land grant institutions? Does everyone understand what I'm asking? I hear nobody saying anything. Does anyone need me to rephrase it? I'm asking, why do you as the audience feel there's a $2 billion gap in land grants to white land grant institutions versus not white land grant institutions? So that's black land grant institutions have access to those resources, those $1 to $2 billion worth of resources. So according to Wikipedia, I like to pronounce Wikipedia. Wikipedia says it's a gift. A land grant is a gift of real estate or its use privileges made by government of other authorities as an incentive. Do you understand that definition? So if anybody want to do their little do now homework at the microphone, you can come. Let me know what you think that $1 billion lack of access, otherwise known as a gap, represents. Do we feel as though that might represent the culture here in America at the time? Do we feel as though that might represent lack of knowledge that these grants exist, or lack of knowledge on how to access these grants? Does anyone want to come and give their opinion? If not, that's all right. We're going to keep it moving. But I did ask what the audience thinks that $1 to $2 billion gap means, and I see no one coming to answer that question, so we're going to roll right along with the programming. Back to you, Giselle. I'm not exactly certain because I wasn't expecting that, but I will say it's possible that that gap exists because people did not know, or the institutions may not have been aware of the great benefits to taking advantage of accessing these particular types of land grants, or otherwise they may have been inept or incapable of accessing the land grants and utilizing the land grants for the particular intended purpose. So at this particular juncture in history, it would be important for us to understand what having access those land grants could have done and what accessing land grants such as these land grants I'm discussing can do for the progeny. Now I see a hand in the audience. What's going on? I want to say yes, and please speak with me at the end regarding these land grants, because I would need to be a little more diligent to understand which specific land grants you're asking about. I know I mentioned the types of land grants, but we can talk about that a little bit more at the end after the program, and Mr. Winston. All right, all right. Hello, young man. What would you like to say?
I got it, thank you. In regards to the land grants, when you look at HBCU versus a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution, they were purposely given more money. It is not that HBCUs were not given the opportunity, they were purposely done. There is a federal law that blocks HBCUs from getting money. And that is something that the president has been trying for since he's been in office. He has gotten that new initiative that has been trying to close that gap, but it's not working, which is why he's calling on the states to give help, because the federal government doesn't want to do anything about how white institutions are able to give more money. And that's why, I was talking to my college counselor, because I'm a senior in high school and I've been doing college search, and my college counselor was saying, HBCUs now are for, the wealthy black people. It was never made for black people as a whole, because people that live in communities like us, it's not normal for us to get into an HBCU without needing to get into the cycle of needing student loans. Normally, you can't get a full-ride scholarship to an HBCU, but you can get it at a PWI, and they purposely do that because of, black institutions and not wanting to empower black people. So it's purposely done as a way of still discriminating even through the educational system.
Thank you for that response. And Giselle, back to you.
Thank you, Dan. So for our fourth, Did You Know, I would like to present Mr. Mo Bars to talk about his article. Please clap him up.
Good evening, Huddle. All right. Tupac. It's a lot to explain. There's a lot to get into. The article is short, but there's so much more to it. So this article is particularly about Sakiwa Shakur, Tupac's sister. Tupac Shakur's sister speaks on the arrest and indictment of shooting suspect. Tupac Shakur at Club USA, New York City. That was a picture article. One of the biggest mysteries in hip-hop may finally have been solved. Officials announced earlier today, September 29th, that Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested and charged in Las Vegas for the fatal drive-by 1996 shooting of rapper Tupac Shakur. Shakur's sister, Sakiwa Set Shakur, exclusively tells BET in a statement that she is happy to see the light of justice prevail and the first ever arrest in the murder of her brother. This is no doubt a pivotal moment. The silence of the past 27 years surrounding this case has spoken loudly in our community. It is important to me that the world, the country, the justice system, and our people acknowledge the gravity of the passing of this man. My brother, my mother's son, my father's son. His life and death matter and should not go unsolved or unrecognized. So yes, today is a victory, but I will reserve judgment until all the facts and legal proceedings are complete. There have been multiple hands involved, and there remains so much surrounding the life and death of my brother Tupac and our Shakur family overall. We are seeking real justice on all fronts. A Nevada grand jury has now indicted Davis in one count of murder with a deadly weapon and recommended that up to an additional 20 years be added to the sentence for the murder charge because of his known gang affiliation. Davis, who is 60 years old, is said to be one of the 4 suspects who were there the night Shakur was killed. Davis snitched on himself, admitted in his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, that he was the one who provided the gun in the shooting, prompting investigators to look even further into the story and singling him out as a potential suspect. While they do not believe he is the shooter, there is enough evidence to indicate that he was involved on the night Shakur was shot and killed while riding in the passenger side of Marion Suge Knight's car, waiting at a red light on the Vegas Strip. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice, said Clark County Sheriff Kevin McMahill at a news conference on Friday as reported by the Associated Press. While I know there's been many people who did not believe that the murder of Tupac Shakur was important to this police department, I'm here to tell you that it is simply not the case. Okay, so just to bring, I'm sure everybody of all ages is familiar with Tupac. Whether you listen to him or not, you at least heard a record, preferably Dear Mama or Keep Your Head Up, which is universal, all age, stand the test of time records, whether you liked him or not. And Tupac, this article is preferably about his sister saying how, happy she is and, somewhat satisfied with someone finally being arrested. So for those who don't know, Keefe D. Davis is a man from Los Angeles, Compton, Los Angeles. He is allegedly a member of the Crips gang, and he is the uncle of the trigger man who allegedly shot Tupac, which is Orlando Anderson. I'm sure you heard that name for the last 20-something years. So as Suge Knight and Tupac were going down Colville Avenue on that night, that fatal night in Vegas, this white Cadillac with the men I just named in the white Cadillac, it was Orlando Anderson who initially fired the shots that killed Tupac and shot and hit Suge Knight in the head. Keefe D was in the passenger seat of that very car. Now, Keefe D did an interview with the FBI years ago. We were probably still kids. You may have been an infant, Giselle. You may have been an infant as well, but I was around 12, 13. I don't know how old you are, D, but you probably was around the same age. And what happened was he did an interview with the feds because of other cases. And for immunity, he admitted to what he did and how his involvement was involved in the Tupac shooting. He named his own nephew and 2 other men that were in the car. Y'all see the famous video of Tupac and Suge and those guys jumping, who is Orlando Anderson, at the casino right after the Mike Tyson-Bruce Seldon fight. They jumped the man. That man was Orlando Anderson. Later on that day, someone gave them a gun. Allegedly, the person that gave them a gun was a man from Harlem named Von Zip. Von Zip is from Harlem. He owned, I don't know, people from Harlem. I don't know if you ever heard of the nightclub, the Zip Club, right there across from St. Nicholas Projects. He owned that nightclub, and he was the man who provided the gun that Keefe D gave to his nephew to kill Tupac and assault Suge Knight, which still has that bullet in his head to this day. So Keefe D admitted to the feds, and it was supposed to be immunity. He was supposed to get arrested for it. He admitted to that, in return, giving up other crimes that happened with Los Angeles gang culture and gang life. In the article, they said on top of whatever they're trying to charge him with, they're going to charge another 20 years because in California and Las Vegas, they have something called the gang enhancement. And they don't have that here in New York. I'm pretty sure some people thank God, but in Los Angeles and California, if you have gang tattoos on you, if you're a known gang member and you committed a crime, you get that gang injunction, 20 years added on to whatever years you already getting. And it's not pretty. So this man is 60 years old already. So, and he not only admitted this on audio to the FBI, he also wrote a book back in early 2000, and he gave the same breakdown of what happened. So he told on himself twice, but one under the federal law and the other one just publicly. He just put it in the book and talked about how he did it. Then he did a video talking about how he did it again. So I wanted to bring out his speed before I asked this question, because we've seen conspiracies, we heard 100 stories, we've seen 100 books, watched 100 movies and 100 TV shows about Tupac's murder and Biggie's murder. So my first question is, how many people, I know you may have not followed it, but how many people have always heard about it and always wondered, what happened or where it was? Just in honesty, just from 1996 up until this day. Okay, so after he was born in 96. Okay, so from that day up until present day, with all the conspiracies and all the things that people even thought the man wasn't even dead. They thought he was in Cuba with Assad Shakur smoking cigars and all of that. So fast forward to today, my question is, what are your reasons you feel this case was solved or even pursued to this degree in this day and time? 1, to sell newspapers or get online clicks. 2, public outcry because of a celebrity that everyone once loved and still love. Or 3, it's just been a long time coming and it's time to find justice for a black man, at the end of the day, a celebrity or not, that was killed. So I would like to hear from all different ages about this situation, about this man being arrested, this 60-year-old man being arrested, even though he was not the trigger man. He was in the car, he was a part of it, and they're charging him with the same crime as if he was the one who pulled the trigger. Another black man killing another black man and wounding another one, getting caught 27 years later, and it's big press and everything. How do you feel about this situation with Tupac Shakur? The floor is now open.
I'll go first, and I'll say that, I wasn't born in the 90s or the 80s, but, Tupac, I listened to some of his music. So I would say that the guy got what he deserved. Well, he was affiliated because he provided the gun. So I feel like it's justice that he serves the time that they give him, because it's been a long time. He been off the hook. He been thinking that he got it good. He helped murder somebody and then got no justice for it, and he's bragging about it online. So I do think that they should add a couple of more years onto that. Okay. And I wouldn't say that he doesn't deserve it because he's a black man. It's about what's wrong and what's right.
Thank you. And before you sit down, I want to ask this question, and anybody else can ask you. This was my second and last question. Now, the federal agents, FBI had him under immunity. He was able to admit this crime in return of giving up other crimes and other things that happened. That was back in 1998. Now we're in 2023, and they're arresting him for this very crime because he put it in a book and he talked about it on a video. I will give the link to the video so you can see yourself him talking about it. Now, is that right? Is that right? He was given immunity for the crime, and now he is being charged for it because he wrote about it in a book and he talked about it in a video. How do y'all feel about that? Just that specifically.
Even though it is a thing, I don't believe in immunity for taking somebody's life. And, okay, they gave him immunity before, but now it's like he keeps on, contradicting it. He keeps on, bragging about it, going online. I think I seen his interview on Vlad TV, right? I watched Vlad TV, seen the interview, and I'm like, wow, he's proud of himself. And I feel like that's why they was just like, okay, you know what? Nobody cares about the immunity anymore. Now we're going to lock you up because you're proud about it. After we gave you immunity, you were supposed to keep your mouth closed.
Thank you. Yes, and if you watch the video, there was a sense of pride in him talking. He was trying to be cool about it, but there was a smug thing. I guess, at the end of the day, it is Tupac. So, but I'll pass it on to your opinion.
Giselle basically said everything that I wanted to say. But, he broke the agreement. And if his agreement was for immunity, normally when you get an immunity agreement, you're not supposed to talk about what happens. You're supposed to keep your mouth. Yes, yes. And so he was opening up his mouth, blabbing his mouth, wrote a book about it. He did a video about it. And then I believe the immunity was not for the state. I think it was for the federal. You said the FBI. So the federal is different from the state. And so, the FBI is not going to go after him, but that does not mean that Las Vegas and Nevada police and California police won't still go after him. So first, he broke the agreement with the federal government, so now he's opening up his mouth, blabbing, so now the FBI want him, and now he still has Nevada and California looking for him. So I think that it's good that there's justice for Tupac. I know there's a lot of people in New York City, in the United States, that has been looking for justice for Tupac. I think that this has been a long time. It's been almost 30 years since Tupac. My mother I was definitely not born. So, I've listened to Tupac, but, that's just what I feel.
Thank you very much. Thank you for enlightening us just on law alone. Gino, you definitely wasn't here.
I seen a show. It's called Unsolved. It's on Netflix about the Tupac and Biggie murder. But I always wanted to know what took so long. It's in movies, shows, and it's still not adding up in their head. But I'm just happy that his family got justice for the murder of Tupac, and yeah.
Thank you, young blood. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Well, with the Tupac situation and OJ, the saying is, a man's tongue is like a shovel. Sometimes he digs his own grave. And you just keep quiet, move forward. But when you start looking at the longevity of this, Tupac was a movement. A lot of people followed him, didn't believe he was dead. And with the white supremacists, they make money behind all this. And the other thing is the subterfuge is if I have him and Biggie and everybody else fighting one another, what they really should do is figure out how they can come together and start their own corporation and businesses and move forward. And that way the abundance opens for everybody, as opposed to sitting around saying, well, you make $10 more than I do, let me shoot you, gun you down, and I'm jealous. And thank you for listening.
Talk.
Hi, good day, everybody, and God bless everybody. I decided to come up at first, but then I heard the sister and the brother who had my same points also. But then Brother Gino brought up a point that sparked another thought. Because he referenced unsolved crimes, it was actually solved. So maybe immunity means also that the authorities who gave the person immunity, they don't even talk about it. So if they didn't talk about it, maybe that implies to the person who actually committed the murder, don't talk about it because we're still claiming that it's unsolved. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. I just had another thought.
So a tactic, somewhat. Okay. Secret, yeah. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, for your thoughts. I really want everybody to speak on that now. Well, however you look at it, fortunately, unfortunately, the other 3 people in that car is no longer alive, including the man who allegedly pulled the trigger, Orlando Anderson. Keefe Davis, is the only man still living. He's the only man still talking about it, so I guess he's the only man that's going to get arrested about it. So that's that. Justice has a way of, God has a way of working everything out beyond justice and law. And hopefully Biggie's next. Hopefully we'll be up here again talking about the capture of Biggie's murderer. These were two titans in hip hop. Whether you liked them or not, they had an influence of somewhat. I would never compare them to our civil rights leaders, but in some people's eyes, these Pac and Big were like, that level. So. I just hope this will be a lesson for the young people. Just even if you wasn't born there, do your research on the story, because that Tupac and Biggie is what birthed what we are seeing today with, rap beefs and stuff like that, that they were the nucleus for that, so it's important to see that, how that turned out, having a battle is one of the 5 elements of hip hop, but it was never supposed to go this far to where they're no longer here. So with these new artists and new rappers, I really hope that, they see that and they really look at that and do their homework. And, that concludes my Did You Know about Tupac Shakur. Rest in peace to the GOAT.
Okay. Thank you, Mo. So I hope that was as interesting for y'all as it was for me. So for our last Did You Know, I would like to bring up our co-founder and NAN membership director, Ms. Dominique Sharpton, and she'll tell you all about her article in a second. Clap it up for her. Thank you.
All right. Y'all want the bad news or the worst news first? The worst news first. Okay. 11-year-old girl is found in a trash bag under the bed and sent a chilling text to her father before her death. The father of an 11-year-old Texas girl who was strangled and sexually assaulted, her body was found underneath her bed on Saturday. She sent her father an alarming message moments before her death. Maria Gonzalez was found dead on Saturday. Her father, Carmelo Gonzalez, called the police to report her body was found underneath her bed, wrapped in the side of a garbage bag and stuffed in a laundry basket in Pasadena, Florida. The investigator said that Mr. Gonzalez had received a text from his daughter shortly after he left work for Saturday morning, telling him that a stranger was knocking at the front door. The message was the last time that he heard from his daughter. He was concerned and asked family members who lived in the same apartment building to check on his daughter. However, they were unable to find him. He returned home from work around 3:00 p.m. to find his daughter dead. There was no sign of forced entry. The investigator described the incident as brutal, adding that the medical examiners concluded that the 11-year-old girl died from strangulation and was sexually assaulted prior to her death. According to the investigator, Mr. Gonzalez and his daughter were Guatemalan immigrants who moved across the U.S. before they settled in the Pasadena apartment 3 months ago, adding that the young girl was not yet enrolled in the public school system. I'm here to tell you that, first of all, that was a very grueling, I think, experience to have to witness and to have to even hear about. But in other news, this is the bad news. DACA has been declared illegal by federal judge, likely leaving the Supreme Court to decide. So, young people, do y'all know what DACA is? What is DACA? Can anybody tell me what DACA is? What does DACA stand for? Or what is DACA? It is related to immigration, and it is related to young people in particular. All right, well, let's learn something tonight. So DACA is a U.S. immigration policy that allows some individuals with unlawful presence in the U.S. after being brought to the country as children to receive a renewable 2-year period of deferred action from deportation and become eligible for a work permit here in the United States. To be eligible, recipients can't have felonies or serious misdemeanors on their records. The DREAM Act provides a path to citizenship for recipients, but DACA is related to work permits and allowing those who basically don't have misdemeanors or felonies to be able to get work permits if they've come to the U.S. as children, and they won't have to face deportation. So, these states, there were 8 states that have claimed that they incurred hundreds of millions of dollars in healthcare, education, and other costs when immigrants are allowed to remain in the country illegally. The states that have sued are Texas, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, Nebraska, South Carolina, West Virginia, Kansas, and Mississippi. Sound familiar? Those that are defending the program, the federal government, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, and also the state of New Jersey, has argued that states failed to present evidence that any of the costs that they allege have incurred have been tied to DACA recipients. They have also argued that Congress has given the Department of Homeland Security the legal authority to set immigration enforcement policies. There were 578,680 people enrolled in DACA at the end of March, according to the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. That means that there were almost 600,000 people that were not born in the United States that were eligible to receive these services and not face deportation. Here's my question. With hearing this issue that happened with this father and his daughter, and obviously speaking, and I failed to mention this, but if we looked at the timeline of facts, the father said that he received a text from his daughter early in the morning after he left for work. He didn't return home until about 3:00 p.m. when he found her dead. In between that time frame, he had reached out to family members to ask that they can go and check on his daughter, and nobody was able to find her. I say all that to say, not one call was made to 911 by that father in that time span in order to go and check on the daughter, because of the fact that he was afraid of the immigration policy that was set in place in the United States. Okay, so people are fearing deportation, fearing immigration, fearing these things, and in result, unfortunately, no one went and checked on this young girl who was home by herself at 11 years old, and she was attacked and was killed. And so with all that said, I think that it's important for young people to not only get the information, but for us to talk about how we are relating with immigration services and how they affect young people. Because in this instance, this innocent girl has lost her life, and at the end of the day, her father, no one's being held accountable. So I think, and I don't know what you think, should the father be held accountable in some capacity for not reporting or not doing what he could have done, anything that he could have done to help save his daughter? Is that up for discussion? Or are we being, too lax and too lenient in this country with the whole immigration policy and how immigrants are allowed to come over to this country and work and live and serve and all of that? Would love to hear your thoughts. Anyone have any thoughts? Comments? Gino?
I feel like he should have provided a babysitter for her, because she's only 11 years old and being in the house by herself. So I feel like he should have provided a babysitter for her. So, yeah.
Very good point.
So there's been a lot of thoughts and opinions on immigration. Some people feel like immigrants shouldn't be here because we're already struggling to live and they just get to come in here and work. It's hard for us to get a job, but they can get a job easily. And I think it's mostly because they want to do the jobs that we don't want to do. But other people feel like we should give everybody a chance, it's good hearts. But I feel like regardless of immigration and the legal actions that's going on with that, he should have been able to get help for her because, one, that is a child, and two, no matter what race you are or wherever you come from, NYPD is here to protect and serve us and protect us. And I feel like it's wrong for him to be scared to actually call for real help for his daughter. He should have never been scared to do that. He should have been able to call the police, and with him even knowing that he's an immigrant and something could potentially happen to him, he should have never been able, this girl should have never been dead right now. So I feel like we have a lot to do as far as things with the immigration process, and I feel like they should help them out more because they want them here. They're bringing them here. So they should provide more services for them, make them feel more welcomed and appreciated where they can call for help. Because if you don't want them here and you don't want to do that, then you should have never brought them here. And that's all I'm going to say.
I will add another layer just for discussion. Do you feel that DACA should be, I guess, amended or remanded as a policy in general in the United States?
I think that it's unfortunate that the young person passed. That's a horrible death, and it's horrible no matter what happened with the calling the police or not calling the police. No one should have to be getting killed like that. But one of the major issues that they have been trying to inform people about is sex trafficking. Like a lot of the children they're missing. Like these children are coming in, no one's taking any kind of consideration to them. They're going into that arena. And it's a very, very horrible situation that unfortunately is happening due to other issues in the other countries. So we have to keep in mind that children are being sex trafficked, okay? And I live in East Harlem, and one of the issues that was happening is when we first started having the issue of the immigrants coming in, they was just bringing in the children. And we had all received, I was one of the residents that received letters asking, can we take the kids? I mean, that was so crazy. I was like, we got an official letter from the government asking, can we take a kid? So they was first letting the kids in before the parents, never forget that. So I don't really think that we should look at DACA and all these policies in a way of, oh, you know, we're letting them in and we should do this and that. We should look at it as just a wicked system, and they're taking advantage of children, and we should be very mindful of that. And they're killing them. They don't care about these kids. They don't care about these people. And that's a major issue. So if we're going to really be advocates, we need to advocate properly for the children and for these families, making sure that the children are reunited with their families, making sure that because a lot of the issues are just really wicked and they're taking advantage. So I just want to keep in mind of that. It's unfortunate, and I do feel sorry for the father losing his child. It's horrible. No one wants to lose their child. She's 11 years old. So I think we should care about that, and she does deserve justice. I agree with that. So I'm happy to hear the story, and I think we should get justice for her because I don't think they're looking for her killer.
That's a great point. Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, DACA is a very special program because these children that are in the DACA program, they're making every effort to be law-abiding citizens. And they were brought over here when they were young. Fortunately, their parents did what they could do to make sure they were educated. With this particular 11-year-old, that whole scenario implies to me that they came here really illegally. And they want to be hiding. So she may not have ever been enrolled in school. But that's an issue, too, for immigrants who want to come over here. They need to really get to know where the services are from immigration lawyers. Because immigration lawyers have to also understand there's illegal aliens over here, but they are human beings. So whatever services are available to them over here, immigration lawyers have to at least assure them that they will be getting services and don't be afraid to ask for them. But generally speaking, when people come over here illegally, they take risks that involve death. Because they're crossing the border, and the border has barbed wire. People drown in the water. They really need to, I heard the news, and this is the first time I ever really considered it. The legal process may be slow, but coming over here illegally, putting one's life at risk, lots of children have died trying to get here illegally. Their parents are dragging them over here in muddy waters, in high waters. So parents are losing their own children because the parents want to take the risk to get over here illegally. So that's a reality also. So whatever this immigration process is, immigrants should really try to get here legally. There need to be more communication between governments to really allow the people who want to leave, register them. Don't penalize them if they want to leave the country. Make the country better. If not, they have a right to go. But they need to be documented that they want to leave And that maybe will start the legal process where they won't be afraid once they get over here, by whatever means they get over here. Yeah, it's a serious issue. Yeah, God bless you. Thank you for the story.
Thank you.
I think that America is very spoiled. And America has a lot more space than what we think. New York City does not have space, but the United States has space. And they are coming here, and we were in a meeting about this. The mayor had us all at City Hall the other day, and it was very scary that he said almost 10% of every agency in this city would receive budget cuts to deal with immigration. That is a very scary thing for a city that is already being thrown with so many different other things. The city is literally sinking because of how heavy it is. And now we have people coming into our country. The rest of this state has a lot of space. If you go upstate, it's nice and open and big and beautiful. So America has the space. And I think what it is that we have become so spoiled that when other people need help, we just have this thing in our mind not to help people. And so I don't think that these people are coming from very harsh things in their own countries. And their governments are collapsing. The people that are coming from Venezuela, they're fleeing for their lives because gangs have taken over. It's basically like the Taliban in Venezuela. So these people are coming over. We have people coming from Africa. I couldn't believe, I said, how did they get here? People are using their last pennies and their last amount of money to get on planes, to get on boats. So I think we really have to be open-minded. But then we also really need to talk to the federal government. All they want to do is say, close the border, close the border, close the border. If you hear everything that has happened with the shutdown this week, it's been the border needs to be closed. Yet what are we going to do with the people that are already here? The federal government has not stepped in at all to help the city. And what's his name? Greg Abbott is still sending people here every single day, still sending people to Chicago, and we're already dealing with so much. So I think that the federal government really needs to step in and say they need to reverse the entire immigration process because people are going to keep coming illegally. And it takes years. It takes a long process. It's not easy to get an immigration lawyer when you already don't have the ability in your own country. What makes you think that they're coming here with the ability that we barely even know ourselves? So it's not easy to get an immigration lawyer. It's not easy to get the help and the resources because there's people that purposely stop the resources from getting to those people. So I say that the federal government, it needs to be completely overhauled, this immigration process. And instead of taking it years, asylum seekers, people need help. And they can't come here. We don't have any more space because it's going to start affecting us. And it was so right. People literally got letters in their houses saying that they needed people to take children. The mayor even went as far to say that he was going to pay people $200 a day just to put people in their houses. That's really serious. Now you have people in Staten Island putting lights in the immigrants' face when they're in the school. The judge said they can't stay there. Where are they supposed to go? We already have homelessness. Now we have addictions at very high rates. People are dying every day. Where is the fentanyl coming in from? Now they're going to say, oh, that's another reason the border needs to be closed. But it's a really, really dangerous thing that we need to open up our minds and our hearts to, that these people are in some serious danger and they need our help. And America as a whole needs to wake up and help these people.
Okay. Two things. One, we forgot how this country got started. Caucasians came here from Europe, took over the place, got rid of the Indians, dominated the space, threw out the Mexicans who was living in this country, minding their business, having a good old time. So we forgot how to do that. And they decided they're going to change the rules and do things the way they want to do it versus can't we all just get along? I can't forget Rodney King's statement. Can't we all just get along? So that's the first thing. So well, if we could just go back to the original, the beginning, we could actually see that, listen, we know how to get along. I mean, what's the problem with having people come in from other countries? I mean, we came from another country, but we were dragged here. So that's the first thing. The other thing that grabbed my mind is that as horrible as what happened to this young man's daughter, like, for me, that was like unthinkable. How can he plan to protect her from that kind of damage? Like, you can't really, I don't know who could imagine that could actually happen until it actually happens. It seems like it was an unthinkable thing. Yeah, he needed to protect her, but I grew up, in the 60s and 70s, and Mom wasn't around. The first time I heard Mom, she was in the window screaming, "Tony!" I had to go upstairs. So I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm just saying, like, who plans for protecting the kids from getting killed by somebody coming in the house? What kind of thought is that? Like, I know that's totally not cool. I got 2 daughters myself, but how do you think about that? That's like unthinkable, and that's what kind of disturbs me more than anything else. I'm complete.
Thank you. We'll end with your comment, ma'am.
First of all, the mayor, the governor, none of them told us these people was coming here. The influx, it was like a bum rush. Nobody knew they was coming. Now, granted, the Constitution says people have the right to come. You have a right. It's in the Constitution. So they can't go against the Constitution and stop people from coming. But those of us that's African American, they dragged us here. We got through all type of brutality, this, that, and the third, and all this kind of thing here. Now you telling us, like the Senator Carroll said at a meeting I was at, y'all's neighbors, okay? Y'all's neighbors. So my whole thing is, you can say what you want about us that feel like the bum rush was cruel, nobody told us nothing, and all this kind of thing here. We supposed to be humble and just appreciate everybody coming in, and they're clogging up our steps and all in front of our management offices and all kind of stuff that they going, and they telling us that we ain't fair, we against them. Well, I tell you, just like this here, ain't nobody pardon the Africans. They dragged our butts here, and we still ain't getting the justice that we getting. Thank God there's places like Nan where you can feel like you want it. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Thank you so much. All right, I will say that many of y'all know Nan has been very involved on immigration issues. Reverend Sharpton and Nan went to Texas to rally about, how the brutality was happening when people come in and crossing the border in Texas. And so we are definitely mindful. Of course, when President Obama created and initiated the DREAM Act and enforced DACA and all of that, National Action Network has been involved. So we got to stay abreast with the issues, what's going on, and especially, of course, continue to teach our young people because, as you can see, it affects us the most. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Dom. So that was our last Did You Know? But I would like to call up the leader of our Artivism segment because he is going to be introducing his talent. So clap it up for Dan, y'all.
Hello. Thank you for that roaring applause, audience. I'm glad y'all are here. At this time, I'm going to invite Crow, the artist of the evening, to come through to the microphone. Crow, pull up. I understand you're going to perform a special rendition of Blessed Assurance for us this evening. We thank you. I understand you wrote me and you mentioned it's a gospel song, so we appreciate that energy. And with that being said, I'm going to pass the microphone over to you, but not until I mention that you are going to be performing on your Kenna instrument. Did I pronounce that right? Can you pronounce your instrument for me one time?
Kenna.
On your Kenna instrument, which you told me means bird in the language of Quechua. Did I say that right? Quechua? Quechua language spoken in the Andes Mountains region. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to you. I'm going to let you create a wonderful sound unto the earth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's an instrument from the Andes Mountains. It's called quena. It means bird. This is blessed assurance. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless Nan. And God bless Dan. Thank you, Dan.
Y'all got it all high and stuff. Y'all know I'm not tall. So, is it okay if I close us out in prayer? Okay, so can everybody bow their heads, please? I'll start it off like this. Thank you, Lord, for your presence with us today. As we depart from this space now, we ask you to bless us throughout the remainder of the day and guide us safely home. Thank you for everybody that came out to participate. We love you, and we always welcome you back next week. Make sure you say please and thank you to the hands that prepared the food. Amen.